This is Texans TV. Texans Extra Points is sponsored by BHP and by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans, and by your Houston area Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
We are ready to rock at NRG Stadium. Watt gets him down this time. JJ with the sack. Rock and roll. Touchdown. Deshaun Watson.
Texans Extra Points is right now, and we're so very happy that you're joining us. Drew Dougherty, your host, and we've got the man for the job to discuss everything going on in Houston Texans land. Former #1 draft pick for the Texans, Travis Johnson. You doing all right, Travis?
I can't complain, Drew, man. Anytime I get to hang out with you is always a blessing, and I give thanks for that.
Oh, that's too kind, man. You're puffing me up. I'll make sure that check gets in the mail.
Man, you don't. Hey, don't worry about it. I don't worry about it. My wife worries about it.
Oh,
but
fair
we're
enough,
good.
Fair enough. All right, let's get some news of the week out of the way. It's all part of the Red Diamond Iced Tea Quick Hits, and we start with, well, not some great news. The Texans will be without Will Fuller and Bradley Roby the rest of this season. The wide receiver and the cornerback on the suspended list for some substances that they took. And Romeo Crennel, interim head coach, explained what the Texans must do now to adjust without that duo.
Well, anytime you have someone on your team make a misstep, that's disappointing. And then particularly when they are key contributors. So then what we'll have to do now is everybody as a group will have to tighten the belt straps and put our best foot forward and get ready for the game on Sunday.
Those are Crennel's thoughts on the matter, but how about the team leaders? Quarterback Deshaun Watson, defensive end J.J. Watt. They shared what they think of everything.
It's obviously unfortunate for our team. Two of our better players on the team, obviously, and so it's unfortunate.
The next man got to step up. So if it's a couple guys coming from the practice squad or a couple guys that is getting more reps and, and practicing for this upcoming game, the mentality and the standard is going to stay the same. So, for me, just find an open guy and just keep pushing.
Texans will be without Roby and Fuller, and they will be without them going against the Indianapolis Colts. It's an excellent challenge. The Colts are second in the AFC South, coming to Houston, but the last time they were here, Texans won that one.
Defensively, we have to have a great game overall. Everybody has to play good. We've got to be able to stop the run, be able to keep them from throwing long passes over our head, and play a clean game.
Okay, so Colts coming to town. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. We'll also get into the defensive loss later in the show, but let's talk about the offensive loss. Will Fuller has been electric, magnetic, whatever adjective you want to use for what he's done this year. He's been outstanding. 8 touchdown catches on his way to well over 1,000 yards receiving, and he's gone deep time and time again for Deshaun Watson. What does his loss mean to this offense?
It means our deep threat. This loss is another weapon. You got to understand, we started this year, at the end of last year, not even 12 months ago, we had 2 dynamic receivers, at least in our receiving core, and right now we have none of those guys. Hopefully, we can get other guys to step it up. We need Brandon Cooks to do things. We need Kiki QT. We need all of these guys to really put their season, play the best they've ever played. Yeah. With all of those guys missing, Randall Cobb now on IR and also not in that room, it's going to be tough to make up for it. But if anybody can, 4 can. I believe in 4. If 4 ran for president today, he'd have my vote. So that's my type of belief in him and believe what he can do for this offense.
Let's stick with that. Deshaun Watson, like you mentioned, playing outstanding. I mean, he has been phenomenal this year. He's got a 112 QB rating for his career. He is on fire. What's he done differently? He's talked about how he's just taken what the defense has given him. That's going to be more important than anything right now without Fuller, right?
Facts. Because a lot of times it gets lost in the noise when you think about a guy. They start calling him check down Charlie. We need Brandon Cooks to be that #1 receiver that he was drafted into this league to be. We need the run game to continue to play action pass inside outside zone, because if nobody believes we can run the ball, the passing, they won't give us anything. They'll just say, you know what? Let's rush with 4 and let's rush with 3 and drop the rest of them.
I thought it was very interesting when Deshaun Watson spoke to the media earlier in the week. He said the standards remain the same. Even though Fuller's out, the standards remain the same. So he's got to compensate. No deep threat like Fuller. However, Cooks is still a guy who can get you yardage down the field. He had and has more explosive receptions, 20 yards or more, than Will Fuller has this year. So with Cooks, with all the tight ends, they've got 4 of them now on the roster, and David Johnson now coming off IR. We saw what Duke did throwing the ball to him last week. I think this offense tweaks a little, don't you? I think they got to change things just a little bit as far as spreading the ball around the way they were.
I think you change it around a little bit. I think you almost got to go where it almost looks throwback Texans, where we get those tight ends into play, to kind of like how we used to get Owen Daniels into play. But now that we have 2, really we have 4 viable tight ends, we go out there with a lot of 2 tight end sets, run the ball early, throw it to our tight ends, get Brandon Cooks in some one-on-one situations, and hopefully he wins those one-on-ones. If we can get him to be the guy that we saw in New England, if we can get him to be the guy who he was early in his career in New Orleans, this team can really make a late push to win a lot of games.
Yeah.
Because we still have the tools. We have the quarterback, which is the number 1 tool that you need to even get anything started. And guess what? The guys are buying in.
Yeah.
On offense, you see them buying in. On defense, you see them buying in. And they're gradually making progress. It was an ugly game on Thursday, but a win is a win. Anytime you get a win in this league, it's perfect.
Talk to me about this. So Deshaun Watson's getting sacked at the lowest rate he's ever been sacked in his career, and he's been getting rid of the ball a little bit differently. But when he was asked about it, he said, that's all the offensive line. Where is it? Where is that coming from? The loss of, or the less sacks? It's got to be a combination of both. The offensive line is playing better, but Deshaun's getting rid of the ball a little bit more, too.
Well, no question. I think Deshaun, the maturation process that he's gone through is realized I can't hold on to the ball as long and look for the perfect throw. Like he's already admitted, I'm taking what they're giving me. So he's not looking for the dynamic play every time, and that comes with being older. That comes with knowing I got to have my internal clock going. If it's a 3-step drop, when I get this 3rd step, I need to make my decision. If the first guy's not open, go directly to the second guy. And I think he's really learning that and realizing, okay, some of these sacks weren't on the offensive line in previous. Some of it was me holding and me trying to do too much. So now I see him, he's just learning.
All right, you're a defensive lineman. We'll stop talking about the offense here. We're going to take a break. But before we do, we got to do a telestrator, and we got to break down X's and O's wise what J.J. Watt did on that pick 6 on Thanksgiving Day. Don't you go anywhere, because Texans Extra Points is coming right back.
Welcome to Texas Telestrator, presented by BMW. I'm your host, John Harris, and we're going to take a look at the Jungle Cat himself, number 99, making a play against the Detroit Lions, which was, so key to this win. The Texans are down at this point 7-0 as we go to the surface, presented by Microsoft. And obviously, you see the man right here, J.J. Watt. Now, one of the great things about J.J. is the fact that he can change from a rusher to a jumper all in the snap of a finger. So here's what's going to happen here. And what I like here is how the Texans scheme this up. They're going to roll the coverage as such, and then Zach's going to take Hawkinson this way, and then they're going to bring a little bit of blitz action here. So what J.J. figures out early is with this blitz action, and you see, I believe Terrell Adams is going to be blitzing right about now. There he goes. That right there, Stafford saw it. And because he saw that, JJ knew he was getting rid of the ball quickly. So when JJ gets beyond the chip, there's a potential chip there, but the fullback turns it down. See right here, this is going to be a chip, but he turns it down to get out in the flat quickly. And when JJ realizes, okay, because you can see how he kind of throws that right arm over, he's thinking that guy's going to chip me. When he doesn't, and he sees Terrell Adams getting there, he's like, get up. And when he does, soft hands of a former tight end, turns around, and away you go. Let's take a look at the end zone view, and you can see it maybe a little bit better, his part of this. So you're going to see Terrell come in here. Here's JJ. We'll watch him on the outside. Justin, you're going to see, comes up and then goes to the flat. Murray's going deep. Witt drops. They got a lot of things going on here. And because of that, the Lions are trying to figure out how to block it up front. And so they slide this way, which opens it up for Terrell Adams, and that's enough to get Stafford's attention. He tries to float it, and look at that, man. That's fun. Catch it and run. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Boy, that was really fun to watch. J.J. Watt with a pick 6. His first touchdown since 2014. Boy, that was really cool. back to the end zone, and it's an over-the-shoulder catch and a touchdown by Duke Johnson. And he's heading to the locker room also.
Everybody loves next-gen stats powered by AWS, and when Deshaun Watson lines up without a running back in the backfield, they call it the empty formation sometimes, he's got 5 touchdowns this year. That's best in the NFL out of that set, and he also gets 10.1 yards per pass attempt when he is in that formation. Travis Johnson, he played defensive line for the Houston Texans. We're glad you're back with us here on Texans Extra Points. Riley Roby's not going to play again this year.
Oh.
How big a loss is that? How do you compensate? It's a dual question there.
Well, I don't think the guys realize how much they're going to have to do. It's going to be interesting for me. Like, I've looked at it from a couple different angles. For one, who steps up? Who's going to play the jack? Who's going to play the corner? Who's going to do the things that we need them to do and make plays to get off the field? Because you got to be stout outside in order to get off the field. But two, for Bradley Roby being the guy that we gave some money to, the organization did, is what are they going to do now? Are we going to have to draft corners? I'm so, right now, I've been up in limbo. I've been thinking about this for days of saying, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Because, he had to come in and earn that contract we gave him. He had to come in and play for it. So now it's saying, have we lost confidence? Yes, because the best ability is availability.
Yeah.
And right now, you're not available to us. Right now, you're hurting the team when we are back against the wall. So I would like to see the younger guys step up. I think they can. But I think Vernon Hargrave's got to be the guy to make sure he shows that he's a leader. He's played in this league for a while, and he has to make sure he can lead that room and lead those troops to make sure those guys make plays.
Hargraves is a Florida Gator. You're a Florida State Seminole. How hard was that to say nice things about him very quickly?
Well, it was very hard, man. Okay. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm sweating a little bit because I'm talking about Gators. I gets my blood boiling.
All right, let's get away from that. Let's talk about the pass rush. What have you seen from it? It's getting a little bit better over the last few weeks, hasn't it?
Well, I mean, what haven't we seen from it? We haven't seen consistency.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing is now we saw a little bit better, but I mean, when any of those times you get the guys batting down a lot of passes, that kind of starts breeding turnovers, which we haven't got a lot of. But hits on quarterbacks causes turnovers. We haven't got a lot of those either. So we have to start rushing the passer. They're starting to buy in a little bit more. You see him a little bit looser on game day, so we can really make plays. And I think you saw that on Thanksgiving. You saw a little bit of looseness on both sides of the ball and in the third phase of the game in special teams. And I think it's just it can only go up from here, but they have to continue to buy into Weave's defensive scheme.
So that can get a little bit better, but tell me about this guy that's been playing really well. Tyrell Adams, 17 tackles against the Lions. He had 2 forced fumbles too. I mean, at one point the Texans had 3 takeaways and they were still trailing in that game, oddly enough, but it's not because of Tyrell Adams. How much of a silver lining has this guy been for the defense?
I think anytime you can get a guy under free agency, as far as a journeyman who's been practice squad to practice squad to practice squad, you don't expect much from him. And when this guy comes in and plays sideline to sideline, no seatbelt, continues to be a thermostat. He sets the temperature of the team when he's out here making plays. This guy in his entire career doesn't have 150 tackles. He's got 79 this year already. So that tells you what? He's found a home. He's comfortable. He's found guys to teach him the game. I say this all the time. You get guys who are successful and guys who are unsuccessful in this league, and it's not because either one of them plays better than the other. It's because they found a home, they found a system that fits, and Anthony Weaver's system is making Tyrell Adams, is helping him be successful.
I like it. Good stuff. All right, we got some Texans trivia, and we're going to have the answer a little bit later, so chew on this one. 5 different Texans quarterbacks have started a game in which they've beaten the Indianapolis Colts. Name 3 of them. We'll have that answer later on.
Handoff, Foster running right across the 5. He gets in. Arian Foster, his 3rd touchdown of the day. And the Texans are beating up Indianapolis at Reliance Stadium.
Here in the Ford Studios, but that was 2010, the first game of the season. Arian Foster really was kind of the beginning of the Arian Foster era. He had played a few games the year before, but he went off, 231 yards, 3 touchdowns there. Travis Johnson joining us. Let's talk about these Colts of 2020. What's the mindset of a Colts team that had been kind of cruising along and then gets 40 points or more hung on them by the Titans last week? Are they limping in? Are they angry? Are they out for blood? What's the mindset?
Well, I mean, they're limping in here because it wasn't just a 40-point air raid like if you was to lose to Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
This was ground and pound, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, almost NFC East type football, back in the day, or NFC North type football, Big Ten football. This is, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And they grinded them out. And they let them make mistakes, and they continue to run the ball, and then you had Tannehill make his plays. So they're going to come in here, they're going to try to make plays. But my old teammate, which is one of the greatest teammates I've ever had, in Phillip Rivers, he's been up and down in his career the last few years. His good days are behind him.
Yeah.
He still has stuff left in the tank because he's so smart, he's so intelligent. His decision making has been a little bit off, but at the same time, he can burn you if you aren't careful. But if you're where you're supposed to be, he'll throw you one or two, and it can change the game.
Yeah. Watt said it, Cornell said it, you just said it. He's brilliant in between the ears. He is so good with the football. You factor that in. You factor in a run game that's been pretty darn good and one of the best offensive lines in the league. Colts are cooking. But Watt also said Rivers is getting rid of the ball a lot quicker than he used to. Have you seen that as well?
Oh, no question. Because one, he took the last few years in San Diego, he started taking a beating.
Yeah.
Early on here, he was taking a beating. So now he's kind of speeding up everything and not letting stuff process. And one of his biggest pros about Phillip is his confidence. And I think over the last year and some change, his confidence has been struggling. It's been waving back and forth. And I hate to see it because as a friend, but as a Texans fan, he's like, oh, well, this is a great time to catch Phillip. You didn't want to catch Phillip, when we caught Phillip after the fires back in the day where he hung a bunch of points on us. But right now, this is a perfect time to propel us into the fourth quarter, the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter of the season, to really make a run at doing some great things.
When Peyton Manning was there, that Colts defense, it had its struggles at times. What do you see from this Colts defense now? It's a little bit different.
It is a little different, but at the same time, a top 10 defense is a top 10 defense, and they're top 10 in every single category, from points to run run yards to passing yards. This team is solid, put together. When they brought Justin Houston in, he has changed their attitude. When the Colts were rolling, when the Colts when they won their championship, who they have? They had Robert Mathis and they had D. Free.
Yeah.
And those guys were the thermostat. Those guys were the guys who set the edge. They made everything happen, and that's what they got now. Right now, they got a guy who can really pin his ears back and go get them, and he's changing the mindset of the young guys around him.
All right, our Gatorade players to watch. You guys, the fans, chose Isaiah Coulter, the rookie wide receiver. Now, he hadn't been active yet. I don't know if he's going to be active on Sunday, so we'll check him out. Who do you got? Who's your player to watch?
I got Brandon Cooks, man.
Okay.
I have Brandon Cooks. I really, to be honest with you, I have the entire wide receiver core.
Yeah.
Because I believe they need to step up. I believe that if they don't, we don't win, and we might not win another game. And that's hard to say. But if we can't get those guys to get open, if we can't get those guys to get first down, not just get open and catch the ball and fall down. We need yards. We need yak yards. We need yards after the catch. We need those guys to push the field, because if Deshaun can't throw, he can't throw and catch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We can't get that out. We can get everything else out. He scrambles. I mean, what is he, second leading rusher last week, third leading rusher last week? He does everything we need him to do, but we need those guys. We got to depend on those guys.
All right, I got another helper for him. You got Cooks. I'm going to take Duke Johnson. He looked good last week. 12 touches, 80 yards. When he did run the ball, he had 4.1 yards a carry. We'll take that after what we've seen from the run game this season. Plus, David Johnson's going to come back this week. He'll give him a little bit of veteran relief, I think. I got Johnson. You got Cooks. You guys had Coulter. And we've got one more segment of Texans Extra Points. Don't you move a muscle. We'll be right back.
Texans Extra Points has been sponsored by BHP and by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans, by AmegyBank, official business bank of the Houston Texans, and by JAMESON. Tailgate like a Texan with JAMESON Irish Whiskey.
Earlier, we asked you which 5 Texans quarterbacks started a game for the Texans and then beat the Colts. Well, you got Schaub. He won 3 of them. Brock Osweiler won both of the times He started for the Texans. Look at that face on Travis. Wow. You also had David Carr. You also had T.J. Yates, who exited the game with injury. Brandon Weeden got the go-ahead points. And then Deshaun Watson has beat the Colts a couple times, and you hope he gets him a third. And for that to happen, Travis Johnson, what are your 2 First Community Credit Union keys to a victory? Why are you making that face?
Because, I mean, you threw me off when you asked the question about, I didn't know Dave, like, I couldn't remember when we...
Christmas Eve, way back when.
Oh, that's right.
6 or 7-ish, yeah.
Chris Brown hit the game winner.
Yeah.
To finish the game off.
He hit a couple of those in his career.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Yeah, you almost stumped the Schwab over here. But, you know, my keys to the game is they almost mirror each other. I think on defense, we got to rush the passer.
Okay.
We hadn't got to the passer as much as we want to. When playing against Phillip Rivers, he makes a lot of mistakes when you make him roll out of the pocket. He wants to show he can still sling the rock, and he goes across the field a lot, which creates a lot of mistakes. So if we can rush the passer, get him off his spot, we can create turnovers and takeaways. And on the other side, we have to protect Deshaun.
Yeah.
Because if right now those receivers can't get open early, we got to give them more time so guys can run option routes. We can call different things to be able to get everything else going. So I think on defense, we got to rush the passer. On offense, we got to protect the passer. I know it sounds cliche, but hey, listen, I'm all about O-line, D-line play.
I'm cool with that. I'm going to go with takeaways. Keep getting them. You got some in Detroit. Don't give any more turnovers up. And then keep spreading the wealth, man. Deshaun Watson has been excellent in that regard. He's going to have to keep it up without Will Fuller there. You can go deep with Brandon Cooks, but get some of the intermediate stuff, some of the short stuff. Texans win this one going away. Hey, good stuff as always.
I
appreciate you coming on.
We appreciate
you all watching. We had some fun with Travis Johnson and you here on Texans Extra Points. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Till then, go Texans. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.